All right. So today we've got Branden Collinsworth with us today. So just want to say welcome, Branden. As always, I'm not going to make a big intro. I like that. Be up to you. So thank you so much for being here. And first of all, dude, thank you so much for showing up casual here.
Yeah, that's the only way to be.
So tell us a bit more. Who is Branden?
Branden Collinsworth, he is a messenger whose life is the message. And my message is to tell people to wake up to their own power. Because once we can tap in and harness our own power, everything else in the world falls into place. And it's truly our duty on this planet to share our gifts. And so that is what Branden Collinsworth is, and that's what I am here for, and that's what my life has all been preparing me to be right at this moment.
You know, we are so lucky, you know that? We are so lucky to have such clarity on why we're here. This is so unique. So let's back up a little bit. Tell me your story.
All right, so it's really interesting because now that I'm in the process of writing my book, Finding Your Spaceship, I'm having to dive back into my story. And I'm so grateful for everything that I've been through. I'm fascinated with the path of a warrior, especially indigenous warriors or Native American warriors. And oftentimes before they got their warrior card, they had to go through this rite of passage. So they had to go through these trials and tribulations to eventually be considered a warrior amongst their tribe. And so when I look at my life, the ups, the downs, the struggles, the pitfalls, they were all preparing me to be right where I am at this very moment. So I grew up east side of Las Vegas. When a lot of people hear about Las Vegas, they think the glitz, the glam, the casinos. When I'm traveling and I tell people I'm from Las Vegas, they give me like the hangover yell, like, oh, yeah, let's party. And so that's most people's idea of Vegas. So what a lot of people don't realize is pretty much the whole entire east side of Las Vegas is impoverished. There's a lot of hoods, there's a lot of ghettos, there's a lot of projects. And I grew up in that. So it was my mom, myself, and my little sister. My mother worked in the meat packing department of Walmart. So she was really never there. And at a young age, I had to learn to really fend for myself and do whatever it takes to survive. So about 10, 11 years old, I started getting into small crimes, started doing robberies of people's houses, stealing food and everything. Because when you're in that space, it's really about how do I feed myself? How do I take care of myself? How do I take care of my family? Schooling at that time wasn't for me. The teachers didn't know what to do with me. I was diagnosed ADD. I was diagnosed with behavioral problems, and I was always in trouble. And so that was my life for the first 17 years. It was the struggle. It was the grind. It was how do I make it? And one by one, my friends would, either lose their lives, end up in jail, or get chained down by the system. And especially in the United States, as a Black man, if you come from an impoverished background, you're uneducated, and you have no schooling, no job, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to end up two places, either dead or in jail. About 16 years old, 17-year-old, I was a high school dropout. I was broke, and at that time I was also homeless. Me and my mom and my sister were sleeping on different couches. And I was sitting at a bus stop on the east side of Las Vegas in front of a hotel called Sam's Town. It's a favorite local hotel. I always had these hunches in me that there was greatness, but at that time I didn't really know what that looked like. The idea that you're really a product of your environment is true. So I never left Vegas at that time. I never left the east side of Las Vegas, so that's all I knew. But there was something in me that told me that I could be more than what I was. And so at that bus stop that day, and I don't know, you can call it God wink, you can call it an aha moment, you can call it an epiphany, you can call it a divine God whisper. Something spoke to me, and it told me that if I really focused on harnessing my energy, educating myself, and being a better man, I can make it out of the ghettos and transform my life. So I got on the bus to that day, and the doors closed, and it was really symbolic to the journey that I was about to take. And the first step I knew that I had to take was education. So I became a voracious reader. One book turned to 10 books, 10 books turned to 100 books, and next thing you know, pretty much every book that I could get at Starbucks, at Barnes and Nobles or the library, I was acquiring and I was reading. And then I started asking more successful people what their favorite books were. So they started giving me books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Awaken the Giant Within, Who Moved My Cheese, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and so on and so forth. And once that education process started, I started being able to see the world in a much different light. One of my favorite stories of how impactful education is Frederick Douglass in his book, The Narrative of a Slave. And he talks about how he was a slave once upon a time in the 1800s in America. And he didn't know he was a slave because he wasn't able to abstractly think. And I could kind of parallel that to my life. Me being in the ghetto, I didn't really know how oppressed I was until I started reading. And for Frederick Douglass, he started reading, and he went from being a slave to being one of the leading advocates for the Black abolition movement in America, sitting next to the president. So same thing started to happen with me. My world started changing. The things, the habits, the behaviors that I once engaged in on a daily basis, they no longer served me. And one by one, step by step, I started progressing. I went back to high school, got my high school diploma. Then I went to the community college. Then I went to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And I realized, hey, I actually am pretty damn smart. Actually, I'm really smart. Then I went to the Ivy Leagues. I went to the University of Pennsylvania and got my master's degree in positive psychology. And the beautiful thing about that was the extreme polar differences in being a high school dropout and making it all the way to the Ivy Leagues. Once again, my life is just a message, and that's not the typical path, and that's not necessarily the most traveled path, but it's also proof that it doesn't matter where you come from, what your story is, you can make it if you really focus and tap in. And during that time, I really learned to value where I came from. So me growing up on the streets wasn't necessarily a crutch. They have a thing called street smarts, and they have a thing called book smarts. And so as I'm going through academia, I started to learn to harness my street smarts. And once I learned to harness my street smarts and match them with my book smarts, it was a double-edged sword that was really, really a powerful tool to have in this society, where you got to have both sets. But you have to have intuition. You have to have logic. You have to know the subjective, and you have to know the objective. And during that time, I really found the power of mentors as well. So my first mentor was Dr. Mulholland, met him at the community college. My second mentor, Dr. Norwood, was a sports psychologist. And this is about the time I got into training. One thing I loved about training, and one of the reasons why the physical space is so important to me, is it doesn't matter if I have any money, it's something I can control still. I can control my physical space. And when I was growing up on the streets, I realized that as well. So that carried over. And when I finally got to college, I decided I wanted to become a trainer. And so Dr. Norwood, my second mentor, he was also expert in hope theory and sports psychology. And for 3 years, he scrutinized me with every session, literally graded me for every session. He was all about, Branden, you need to get your 10,000 hours. As we've talked in the past, Daniel, about mastery, 10,000 hours is what it takes. And he was adamant about that. And so he opened the doors for me to realize that training was more than just training. And that led me to eventually getting my master's degree in psychology from the University of Pennsylvania, where I created this beautiful fusion, which ended up leading to me opening my gym in Vegas, Real Results Fitness. That also led to me becoming one of the only global trainers, master trainers for Nike, where I'm traveling the world, helping Nike basically unlock athleticism in every every person on this planet. It's led me to starting my own nonprofit, my own 501c3, the Jump for Joy Foundation, where we teach kids the benefits of living a healthy life, positive thinking, and eating good food. It's led me to traveling the world 250 days a year, engaged in purpose-filled work where I'm uplifting people and helping them fall in love with their true power. And back to my business, it's led to my business not only being a gym that I run, but it now runs itself. We're on the verge of opening our second gym. And last year, out of 60,000 gyms worldwide, we won the Mind, Body, Bold Business of the Year. So once again, it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey. The black and white, the dark and light, they've all served a purpose. And the purpose was really to help me understand just how powerful each one of us on this planet really is. And so that brings me to this point right now in time where I don't see humans as just humans. I see humans as one of a kind, miraculous expressions that have never been and never will be again. So rare, so special that when we see somebody, we shouldn't just be like, oh, hey, we should drop to our knees in awe at how absolutely beautiful and incredible that person is. Because in the history of the planet, there's never been and never will be again. We're born winners. It starts as sperm. There's 500 million sperm that are released during when somebody is conceived, and only one makes it. 1 out of 500 million. So each one of us is already born a winner. And so that's my purpose now, because I feel like each one of us comes equipped with a really, really special set of gifts, a very special reason for being here. But we're told sometimes that we're just average. We're told to conform. We're told to do the 9 to 5, to get the 401k, to only jump so high and go so far. And that couldn't be more far from the truth. So that's why I'm here, is to really help people tap into their power, share their gifts unforgivingly, and create a life that's like really rooted in passion, purpose, and play.
Wow, what a story. Oh my God. Wow, that is just, it's hard to say anything there. Wow. I've never heard that story from you in that depth. That's why I also love doing these interviews, because there's so much depth coming out of these. So first of all, thank you so much for really going deep and sharing the dark side as well, because most people never do that. Most people are too afraid of what other people will think, what's going to happen and all this. And I think there's so much power in sharing that piece, because everybody does have a bright side and a dark side. And that is so important. So tell me a bit more. I never really heard about your nonprofit before. I know that you're on the verge of opening a second gym. So I know that. Tell me, what is the nonprofit about?
So the nonprofit, me and my friend Anthony Allegretti, we started it my last year of undergrad at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. It's called the Jump for Joy Foundation. And we're big on acronyms. So Jump for Joy Foundation stands for Join Us Making Progress, Fighting Obesity Responsibly by Jumpstarting Our Youth. Jump for Joy. Yeah. And what we did is we wanted to really create free camps where we would bring in high-level athletes that would teach kids about the beauty and benefits of living a healthy life. And we funded it out of our own pocket. It's truly just a way to give back. And we've had all sorts of incredible athletes contribute. We've done UFC, we've done NFL, we've done NBA, we've had some of the top breakdancers. And each one of our camps is themed. So we have like Dance Against Obesity, Dunk on Obesity is our basketball camp, Tackling Obesity is our football camp. And I know there's some European listeners here. So you guys definitely had football first. I don't know why they call it football here. It should be called handball. I'm cool with calling it that. Okay? So just know that. But American football can't. And just a whole bunch of amazing other opportunities to really give back, because I really truly believe in the kids. I believe they're the future. And once again, a lot of people, especially in the pursuit of business, they take the stance or the ideology, what can I get before I give? And the reality is that because it's all energy, it's all vibrations, it's really what can you give? And then you'll be amazed at what you get. And I learned that a long time ago. And so that's one of the many ways that I'm able to give back to humanity. And I really think it's one of the reasons why I have so many seeds planted that have sprouted, because instead of sprinkling water of self-serving on them, I'm sprinkling water of unity, cohesiveness, bonding, and empowerment on them all the time.
I love that. I love that so much. I mean, what you share, what you learned a long time ago, that's still something that I'm learning every single day, and I'm already a lot, like I get better every single day, but it's just such a powerful concept. And it's sort of like we know about it, right? Everybody knows about whatever you give is what you get, or whatever you give, you get 10 times. But I think we often get it wrong, because we often think that it's like, okay, I can't give of something that I don't have. Like, I want this, I don't have it, so obviously I can't give of that. But that's a whole other conversation. I would love to dive a little bit more into Nike, because what was it, like 2 months ago, 1 month ago, I downloaded this new Nike app and I opened it to check the exercise. I was like, that's Branden. That's crazy. He's doing exercise on my phone. So tell me a bit more, what is it? What are you up to with Nike?
Well, once again, Nike is another testament to that anything is possible if you're willing to really work at it and be vulnerable and put oneself out there. It took me 4 years to break into Nike. I emailed them all the time. They ever so politely told me not interested. And then one day they told me they were kind of interested, but not really interested. And they gave me a carrot. And I didn't stop biting until I ate the whole entire carrot and then some. And so finally, after about 4 years of hitting them up, they gave me an opportunity. There's a quote I love, Daniel. It says, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So I was preparing myself to be the best trainer. And the opportunity came. I had the opportunity to lead a workout for some of their executives here in Vegas about 4 years ago. And I rose to the occasion. But with Nike, they go hard all the time. It's like the whole entire culture of Nike is win and win big. And you don't just win and give out a mediocre product. You win and you give out the best product. And if there's 2 hours of time left and you get that project dropped on your lap and there's 2 hours, you're going to make it happen. And that's just it. And so with Nike, it's been a series of tests. After I did that first workout, they're like, Branden, hey, have you ever heard of TED Talks? Yeah, I heard of TED Talk. You ever thought about doing one? Yeah, I have. Okay, well, how about next Tuesday for a whole bunch of our executives? I'm like, it takes like a year to prepare for these TED Talks, like next Tuesday, but you don't ever say no. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Call my mom. Mom, I don't know if I can do it, Mom. This is a lot. Anyways, stepped up to the plate, made it happen. I grew as an individual, and I grew with the company. And so it's really it's been that time and time again, showing up. What's been beautiful is Nike has really gotten behind the idea of holistic athleticism. If it wasn't that, I wouldn't be with Nike. I'm not gonna just jump onto a brand just because it's a brand. I could care less about that. I'm with Nike because I believe that they truly care about helping people really tap into the athlete within, because we are all athletes essentially. Whatever our expression is may be different. For some, their expression may be public speaking. For others, their expression may be business. Or others, their expression may be European football, not American football, by the way. Joking. But what's cool is they've really embraced who I am. They've embraced my psychology background, the idea that positive psychology and human flourishing and well-being and stuff like that should be infused into the conversation when it comes to training, not just the physical space. It's really this mind, body, spirit space. And in that place, it's just been incredible. The opportunities have come out of it. I've been able to travel the world. I've been to Shanghai. I've done events in Iceland, in London, in San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, and it's all beautiful. And I always come at it with new eyes. Honestly, if it ended the first time I got taken up to world headquarters in Oregon, and that was it, gratitude, blessings, thank you. But everything else has been a bonus. So truly grateful for everything I've been able to experience with them, and I'm excited and about the future.
You know, there's one thing that always stands out whenever we talk, there's always something that stands out, and it's your level of gratitude. I've almost never experienced anyone with that level of gratitude. Like, it's easy to be grateful for the big things, but you have embraced this habit of being grateful about, like what you just said. You know, if that was the only thing that happened, thank you so much. Everything else is a bonus. If we just went through life with that attitude, with that expectation, with that mindset, oh my God, everything would be so different. We would have different expectations. There would be no neediness, no desperation. Energy could flow. The law of abundance could unfold. You know what I mean? It would just be such a whole different world. So that really always stands out when we talk. So tell me a bit more about the present. What is it currently that you're up to? What just recently happened, and what's soon going to happen?
Man, well, the present, as I mentioned earlier, it was, so I'm 32 now, just turned 32. Love the 30s, by the way. It's the greatest ever. I would never go back to the 20s if I was paid to go back to the 20s. But it was as if 32 years of my life was preparing me for these moments right now, to where I knew for sure. There wasn't a maybe or I wonder where I'm going. I know for sure now what my purpose is on this planet. And my purpose, as I mentioned earlier, is to help people tap into their power and express it, because it's a disservice to humanity to not express our gifts. And so how do I do that? Many facets. One is working, coaching people, but I can only do so many people with that. So I have my gym. Now my vibration has been exponentially increased and I could touch a lot more people. But after that, what is even bigger than just a gym? It's my book. So I'm working full force on finding your spaceship. It's one of the most challenging experiences of my life. There's actually a movie theater being built next to my condo here in Vegas, and they've been building it for a year, and I've been working on my Finding Your Spaceship for a year, and I'm trying to beat the movie theater, and I think they're going to actually beat me, because I'm like, yo, they've just built this 4-story movie theater, and I'm like really trying to get this book done, and it's like, all right, you guys are kicking my ass. It's a labor of love, and what's really interesting, a lot of people ask me to get a ghostwriter. You should get a ghostwriter. You should have somebody write. but the book is so personal to me. I don't feel like somebody can pull that out of me or write what I need to be conveyed. And so the book is just being pieced together. I'm about 60 to 70% of the way done. And what's really interesting is there's some experiences that are happening right now that have to happen before the book can be complete. So this expansion of my gym, Real Results, right now have 27 employees, 15 trainers, all passionate, changing lives. We're about to double in size. So this is about to happen. This is going to happen really quick. And this is going to be a part of the story. This is a part of taking an idea I had of creating a gym or creating a experience, and then watching it, planting the seeds, and then watching it grow, and then watching other people take it and run with it as well and start creating their own expression from it. I'm big on going left when everybody goes right. They say that if you follow the crowd, you only get as far as the crowd. If you want to get really far, take the road less traveled. And so as I'm definitely at the most successful point I've ever been in my life, instead of acquiring more goods and becoming more, nicer car, nicer house, nicer dinners, in 2 months, November 30th, I'm actually getting rid of my house, getting rid of my car, and I'm going to go vagabond style for the next 2 years and live as simply as I can, and travel, and also run my gym digitally, write my book, or my book will be finished. And the goal is to travel, speak, empower, inspire, serve, and do what Tim Ferriss did in the 4-Hour Workweek 10 years ago and run my company while I'm engaged in a pursuit of passion.
Wow, that's big. That's big. When you mentioned that the first time, I could hardly believe it. Like selling everything and going on that trip, very, very inspiring. Just like experiencing like those both sides. Like you're one of the guys one of the few people that I know is really into experiencing all facets of life.
Yeah.
And I believe you've done that from an early age. Maybe because you've been forced into experiencing it, and now you're really you have this exploration mindset. There's always an exploration. There's always more to explore, and that's really fascinating. So, okay, so that's 2 years on the road. So that's beautiful, man. You're gonna live on the beach. You're gonna enjoy your life so much. And tell me a bit more. Like, you're just gonna sip Mai Tais and be on the beach for 2 years, or what's the plan?
Well, I actually don't drink. I don't drink at all. So it'll probably be coconut water. No, definitely not that. The goal is definitely not to just chill and lounge. Experiential knowledge, experiential wisdom is, to me, the most important type of wisdom. I correlate it with the body. The reason why disease sets into so many bodies in this world, the reason why the top 10 killers of Americans are obesity related, is not because people don't move enough. It's because they move the same way all the time. They become habituated. If you look at children, they're doing it all. They got their hands behind their head, their foot in their mouth, they're exploring, they're touching, they're grabbing, they're out there, they're just engaged in the world. And then we become adults and we become like Mr. Roboto, and we don't break out and express. And so physically, I teach my students this, physically, when we start breaking out of those pre-constructed paradigms, even if we just stretch in a different direction, we actually open up new neural pathways to be formed. The brain and the body is so correlated. one of my favorite researchers, Richard Schusterman, created this field called soma aesthetics. And it's not about the mind-body connection, but in essence, the body-mind connection. So very, very incredible research. I think with traveling, it follows the same suit. If I'm in the same routine, the same thing all the time, I'm going to be limited. But when I travel, when I find myself in Egypt, backpacking through the pyramids and being told that I need to wear pants because my legs are offensive to their religion, that opens your mind up. Or I'm in Bali and I'm getting non-poisonous jellyfish thrown at me by the locals because they think it's funny because I'm just scared like a little girl. Those things open you up. And so for traveling, for me, I've learned that what I lose, maybe in time or sometimes perceived income, comes back tenfold because I'm able to objectively step away from the situation, look at everything as a whole, and then come at it in a different way, which ends up in the long run bringing more abundance into my world. Now, not everybody has the opportunity to just leave. Well, actually, everybody has the opportunity to just leave if they wanted to, but maybe it's not the best thing to do because there's certain situation obligations. But just with that mind state of waking up every day and being like a child again and exploring and reaching and meeting somebody new and tapping into a new vibration, a new scenario, a new group of people, that right there is traveling in itself. We don't have to go to the far reaches of the world, to Patagonia, to open up. We can do it right in our home base. And so for me, the traveling the next couple years is really just that. It's really to expand, connect, explore, solidify my purpose even deeper, and really see how through the beauty of this day and age with the technology, with our books, with social media, how I can connect to even more people and spread my message all while I'm abroad.
I love that. I love that. So tell me a bit more. So I want to dive a bit more into that. I want to dive into the future a little bit more. Who is Branden becoming? Eventually, who is Branden becoming?
I think we are all already who we are meant to be. It's just a act of stripping the layers off until we allow that to come through. So as I'm stripping these layers off, the guy who's evolving and coming out is he is a symbol for the world and for people to fall deep in self-love, to unforgivingly share their gifts, to be grateful throughout the process, and to appreciate and celebrate others' gifts as well. Because in the end of the day, we all have gifts to share. And when we can just learn to appreciate each other, all this craziness that's going on in the world, this division, this race, this skin color, everything, it becomes just ludicrous because we're all in this together. We all have a heart. We all have a heartbeat. And so that's my passion and purpose on this planet, is to be a symbol of that and use my reach, the reach that I've been blessed with, the reach that I'm so grateful for, to share that message. And Marianne Williamson said that as we shine our own light, we unconsciously give others the permission to do the same. At the end of the day, if I could only touch one person, that's a success. If I can touch thousands of people, that's a success as well. I'm a big believer in the pay it forward effect, or the butterfly effect, where one person feeling better about themselves is going to go and treat maybe their mom better, or their children better. And those children inevitably are going to treat other people better. So it's a ripple effect. Sometimes we don't see the extent of our vibration, but that's where I see myself standing strongly. I'm already standing in that space, but even stronger and more rooted. Right now, I'm like a pine tree. I think in like a few years, I'll be like a redwood, like 300-foot redwood, just rooted, man.
What are these trees called in California? These like
redwood.
These 1,000-year-old trees. Yeah, one of these. Yeah.
So right now I'm like a 300-year pine tree, but soon a redwood, man, where I'm just like, bah.
I love it, man. I love it. Wow, just what you just shared, with the gratitude again. That is just so powerful. With that, if I can touch one person. And then talking about the ripples, just want to elaborate on that just quickly before we finish off, because that is so powerful. Most people walk through life and they have a mental breakdown, they have a burnout, they have whatever for several reasons. But one of the reasons very often is they don't feel like they have purpose. They don't feel like they have meaning. They don't feel like they make impact. And if it's just to realize that just simply by walking through life, you create ripples just by going to the mall and have a smile on your face.
Yep.
That ripples. Just smiling at the lady at Starbucks that's making your coffee, that ripples. I think that is so powerful. And that's also something that I learned from you. Those ripples, those if I can touch one person, great, and everything else is a bonus. That is so huge. And if I can just walk through my life and put one smile on somebody's face, that creates ripples. And I think that is so powerful, because very often we forget it. We don't see that. We don't see the ripples.
Right.
And yeah, just wanted to pinpoint that. Thank you for sharing this.
And it's easy sometimes first, this is just an illusion, but it happens often because our society is very good at making us feel inferior, till we get to this point and we're like, what do I have to give? Really, what do I have to share? But all one has to do is tune in for a second and really think about what one is grateful for. Man, I'm grateful that I have hands. I'm grateful that I could see. There's a quote that says, some of our people are sometimes, there's people in this world praying for what you have right now. In traveling, I've seen in Belén, Peru, where I'll be in 2 months, I've seen people living in sewage with a smile on their face. They're grateful. They're grateful for the bananas. They're grateful for family. They're grateful to be able to play. I learned this on the streets. I learned to be grateful for the small things. And that's something I've taken with me all the way through my journey. When I was at the University of Pennsylvania, Martin Seligman, Dr. Seligman, who is the father of positive psychology, I used to sit with him in his garden and we'd sip wine and he would talk. And he created a thing called the 3 blessings exercise. And essentially what it was every day, write 3 blessings down. They found that after 6 weeks, empirically researched, people who wrote down 3 blessings a day were exponentially more happier and had more well-being than those that didn't. And I think the main reason why is right now there's a million different realities I can access. I can drink a cup. I can jump up and down. I can go out and meet this random guy who's walking by my house right now. When we're in the state of gratitude, we tap into the frequency, and you mentioned it earlier, Daniel, that I love, abundance. And when we tap into the frequency of I have enough, abundance, when we tap into that frequency, we open the doors to realities that parallel that frequency right there, abundance frequency. Where if I'm in, I don't have enough, I'm going to open up the gateway to realities that parallel that as well. So when we come from a state of gratitude, we open up those doors that lead to more abundance and more abundance. So I'm addicted to being grateful because I've seen the power that it has to not only touch the lives of others through the ripple effect, but to catapult me and my purpose forward in a way that is rooted in harmony, relationships, connection, purpose, excitement, passion, enthusiasm, and all those beautiful sister and brother vibrations of abundance that are accessible from just tapping into a state of gratitude.
Wow. Hard to say anything to that, man. I love how that's also something that I realized that you're doing really well. You put things into really simple perspectives for people to understand. I think that's also why you have an easy way of working with children.
Yeah, they're the easiest. I do this thing called we're going to go take a run through the jungle. And I'm like, I want you to put your imagination goggles on. All right, here we go. And you see them all start running. And I'm like, and look up. And they look up, there's a gorilla. And we do this thing. It's called like this jungle run, but they learn about all these things of like being grateful and eating healthy and all that through their imaginations to running through the jungle. I think as adults, sometimes we have to like tap back into the simplicity of it.
Oh my God, so much. So just to finish the conversation off, the last question is, where can people connect with you? Because maybe there's somebody says that gym, like maybe somebody says, I'm in Vegas, that gym sounds really, really exciting. I'm curious. I want to learn more. I want to go there. I don't know whatever. Or maybe somebody says, I want to host Branden whenever he comes to my country when he's traveling around the world. I want to have him, sleep in my guest house or whatever, at the beach or something like that, right? Or on a mountaintop, whatever, something like that. Where can people connect with you? What's the best place?
The best space, honestly, is social media. I'm super active. Instagram at Branden Collinsworth. Shoot me a message. Also Facebook, Branden Collinsworth. That's where, to me, it's like a living website that evolves, and I really put my life out there. And the community that I built in those spaces is incredible. I met people from all over the world, so that's really how to tap in. When my book launches, Finding Your Spaceship, I will be doing a tour rooted in charity with that. So I'm excited to share that with the world as well. And yeah, I'm very accessible, and you'll deal with me. I'm here. I'm just a humble servant.
I love it. So I'm going to link to the social media pages or to the social media places down below. And if somebody wants to sponsor your book tour around the world, they can also reach out to you. That's a very important one there as well. Yeah. So thank you so much, Branden, for being here, sharing your story. Incredibly inspiring. Thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful to have you here and also to have you as a friend. We've got to know each other over the past couple of months. Thank you so much for everything. I'm really, really grateful.
Thank you. And in the words of yoga, namaste, namaswag, nama superhero. Peace.